We all love to watch videos of our passion, motorcycle adventures. But to make great videos, you also need to be passionate about video making. And that's me. I'm just as passionate about making videos as I am for motorcycle adventures. But you need to know this because it takes time. And while you're on your trip, you need to take all this footage to make sort of a great material. And some things that takes away from your adventure. I think it adds to my adventure because I get to practice two of my passions at the same time. So if you're anything like me, here's a few tips that I've summed up for you. And yeah, let's order them in the way that you're going to use them. So first tip is about equipment, like the cameras and such. And all the riders that I know, the first camera they get is the helmet-mounted action camera. It gives that immersive point of view look of you riding the bike, and that's great for your movies. But it's also the most misused camera. Like 20 minutes of helmet camera is the destroyer of videos, in my opinion. Nobody wants to watch that, even if it's Chris Birch riding through the most awesome trail. After 5 minutes, you're getting really bored. So you need to mix that up. And so besides the action camera, the least that you need is the grab camera. And that's the camera that you can just grab and film whatever is happening. You can talk to it, you can film others, interactions and things like that. The last two long movies that we made, I've used action camera and an iPhone. So it doesn't have to be the most big camera and expensive ones. It's the one that you have, and it needs to be quickly accessed to capture whatever's happening with your buddy trying to get up off a mud hole or an interaction with a person or something like that. So the helmet cam is really nice, but the grab camera is what brings your story forward in the movie. And you can add to that with different kinds of extra cameras, which are just the cream of the cake, like the 360 cameras or a drone or whatever, but that's just bonus. And also when it comes to equipment, you need to make sure that whatever you're recording with, we're out in the wild, it's windy and so on, you need to make sure that you have wind stoppers or some shields of that naughty wind noise coming through the camera, especially on these small devices like iPhones and so on. Because audio is actually more important than the video. Nobody wants to watch a video with really noisy and bad audio. The second tip may be the most important one, so pay attention, and that's about storytelling. You may have heard that YouTube viewers have the shortest attention span.
Well, you see, when I get bored, I make up my own movie. I have a very short attention span.
But our point is very simple. You see, when...
Oh, look, a bird!
But still, how come they can binge watch a full season on Netflix? And that's the only difference there is they are engaged in the story. While it's cool to see you ripping the most awesome trails of some part of your trip, you need to build that up with a story because they want to know about your adventure. And the adventure is not only the cool curves that you take, it's about your challenges, your interactions with people, how you're feeling, what's happening, what's your plans, and get sort of involved with your adventure. So to engage people, you need to set up the classic storyline of any movie. You need to set the set. Who are you? What are you doing? What's the challenge ahead? Then down the road you encounter some roadblocks and some problems or whatever, and then you have sort of a resolution You made it, you didn't, and then how do you feel about that? And if it's a longer story, you have this the same in a big timeline, but then you have these small stories within the big story. So in the last trip we did to Turkey, we were to set off on this long trip to Turkey, and I told about it in the beginning. And then we did the full trip, and the challenges were many, but there's a lot big distance, and there are a lot of things happening along the way. And then we finally complete the journey. But within that story, there's we have to find the balloons at Cappadocia and find the place, and then finally we find it and we see it, so happy ending there. And we're going to the hotel, but something happens on the way and Tony's rain pants get chugged up in the drive kit there. So yeah, so you need to convey that part, not only just riding and riding. And that leads us to the third tip, which is get the footage. Now you're on the trip, you have your cameras, and you know about storytelling. And don't worry, it will become second nature to have this in your head while riding, because you want to get the footage when you're riding, but also off the bike, and really get footage of all the different things that happen. And on the bike, they don't know if you're filming, but you're really the odd guy out when you step off the bike and you're the guy with the camera and so on. But get the footage of yourself talking, get the footage of interactions and your buddies if you're riding in a group, and also the locals and whatever people that you meet, with permission, of course. Normally when I get back from a trip, I have tons of helmet camera and riding videos, because that's so easy just to turn off the cameras while you're riding. So really think about using the camera off the bike, because that takes most effort and interrupts the most. But you're glad you did that when you get back home, because it will really help you tie the video, the story together. So remember, good story needs more than the action scenes. So the fourth tip is about editing. And you're back from your trip, you have all this material and you have all these riding videos, but hopefully you also have this grab camera footage also of interactions and your thoughts and what's happening in between, and the happy and the sad moments. So now putting this together in a timeline to make your video, the hardest thing is to kill your darlings in a way, and that is to keep it short. Even though you may have loved this long stretch of trail of 10 minutes helmet camera, save it for yourself, but for the audience, make sure that one clip, you can switch between them, but don't show one clip more than, a TV rule is 4 seconds. 4 seconds. So, and you can stretch that, and if we double it, we're up to 8, or we can go to 10 seconds. But we're not talking 5 minutes. So make sure that you have the tempo in the edit, and cut between all the different clips that you have, because people don't have short attention span on stories. They have short attention span on long scenes. That's where you really get creative and mix things up. One problem that I always have when I get back from a trip, I have the material and there's gaps. And there are things that are not sort of self-explanatory from the video. What happened there? Now you were on a mountain there and now you're having breakfast. What happened? And in a different country as well. So use the editing to fill in the gaps by voiceovers. You can talk over the video and explain what's happening, and you can bring in maps to see where you've gone, and then you're having that breakfast and so on. So you can really save the material that you are missing by filling it in post, in editing, and add whatever you need there. So and bringing in maps and voiceovers really brings a context, and they know where you are, where you're going, and so on. And finally, in the editing, add music, because nothing adds feeling, because that's what we want to feel when we watch these videos, right? You can find music and it needs to be royalty free. You cannot use the commercial music, but YouTube has their own music library that you can pick songs from for free, or you can subscribe to some commercial services out there. For instance, Artlist and Epidemic Sounds are the most widely used ones. And you get really good quality music there, and it makes a lot for the feeling and quality of the video to use those services, so I do recommend them. So that sums up the 4 main tips that I had. And if you find yourself after coming home from a trip with a lot of material just spending hours that are disappearing while you're having fun editing these videos, then watch out. You're going to be a great video editor, because just spending time enjoying it, that's what makes you evolve and become a great video maker. So in our videos, you can hear the intercom from all the riders in the group that we bring into the video. And if you want to learn how to do that, check out the video here where I explain everything from how to connect it and get the audio from any intercom into pretty much any action camera. And stay tuned and see you later. Ciao.